Isn't self-expression really self-direction? How you think, how you move, how you motivate yourself? It is. And ambition is a result of self-direction. One of the 6 principles for building ambition is positive self-direction. Positive self-direction says, I know who I am, and I know where I want to go. I am accumulating knowledge, experiences, feelings, and philosophy that will help prepare me for opportunities that I know will show up without notice. Positive self-direction means you know who you are and where you want to go. You've already spent a great deal of time thinking about it. You've been working on the parts of your personality that will make you better, working on your attitude, working on your health, working on your time management skills, putting it all down on paper, and you constantly see yourself in the place that you want to be. As you talk with yourself every day, how often do you ask, is what I am doing today getting me closer to where I want to be tomorrow? Am I making the daily adjustments necessary? Am I doing all that it takes? Will I keep on doing it until direction determines destination? Here's a question you need to ask yourself. Are all of the disciplines that I'm currently engaged in taking me where I want to go? What an important question. At the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the day. Because here's what you don't want to ever do. Kid yourself. You can kid your neighbor, and you can kid the marketplace if you want to. But gosh, you can't kid yourself with your fingers crossed, hoping you'll arrive at a good destination when you're not even headed that way. You say, well, maybe the wind will take me. Well, there's a chance, but you've got to take charge. You've got to ask yourself often, am I doing the disciplines that are taking me in the direction that I want to go? I don't want to be faked out here and think I'm on the way to financial success when there's not a prayer, not a hope. I don't want to be faked out, hoping that there's someone else who's going to take care of it, take care of me. They're not going to take care of it. They're not going to take care of me. What if all of your negative relatives turned positive? What'll that do for your fortune and your future? Not much. If prices come down a little, what'll that do for your fortune and your future, your sophistication, and your culture? What'll that do? Not much. If the economy gets a little better, what'll that do? Answer: not much. If you don't make plans of your own, you'll fit into someone else's plans. And guess what they have planned for you? You're right, not much. Most people wake up every morning counting on this not much list, and that's why what they have is not much. Not much hope, not much promise, not much progress. They're driving what they don't want to drive, living where they don't want to live, doing what they don't want to do. Forget the thief waiting in the alley to snatch your purse. What about the thief in your mind? Lazy, not stimulated by thoughts and questions. Don't become a victim of yourself. Ask yourself these questions. Is this the direction I want for my life? Is it someone else's direction? Is it a goal that I have been ingrained with since my childhood? Is it my parents', or my spouse's, or my boss's, or my children's? Is it mine? Ask yourself these questions. Debate them if you will. Debate the ideas I am sharing with you on this program. Later, after you've heard all the ideas, debate what will work for you and what won't work for you. But most importantly, get into the debate of your inner mind. What am I doing that works? What am I doing that doesn't work? Debate it all. Work with your mind to figure out the best possible direction for you. Your self-direction. You hear stories all the time of kids, middle-class kids, upper-middle-class kids. You hear stories all the time about good kids that are having problems. Their parents are highly successful, they want their kids to be highly successful, but the kids are having problems. Maybe not with their grades, but with how they feel about themselves. The parents push their kids into one career direction, probably to take over the family business, or follow in the family footsteps. It's the parents' direction, not the kids' direction. The kids know that something's just not right. And for these kids, something goes wrong. I know this lady that comes from a medical family. Everybody's in medicine. All of the kids grew up and went to school to be in medicine. It's just what you did. You grew up and became a doctor. Now it wasn't a bad upbringing. They had everything they needed, but they also had the extra push to go into medicine. As a matter of fact, my friend says that they were raised with such tunnel vision that she didn't even have the slightest idea how food got into the grocery store, how cars got into the lots, how money got into the banks. She didn't know. The issues were never brought up at the dinner table. She remembers back in the late 70s, The first time she went to look for a job to make extra money in college. That the best jobs in the paper, the ones for qualified people, were only advertising a monthly salary of $900. $900. She thought the average person on the street, the average non-qualified person, made at least $3,000 a month. What a difference. What a shock to be so sheltered from real life, to be so far off in what the average person made for a living. It was a real revelation. So she started asking questions. I mean, if she was that far off in her judgment of average earnings, maybe she was way off on other thoughts in life too. Maybe there was more to life than being in medicine. Maybe this wasn't what she wanted to do after all. Maybe she finally found the reason why she hadn't been happy through all of her academic achievements. Sure enough, she figured out that the medical goals were not her own, only those of her parents. And even though she was chastised by her family for not following through with the family goals, she is now much happier following her own path. Direction must be your own, or it can end up being damaging. Damaging to your soul, damaging to your spirit, damaging to your health. Now there are two parts to self-direction. Positive self-direction, Part 1. Self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is knowing who you are and what you want to do with your life. Self-knowledge is knowing how you feel about yourself. Self-knowledge has a lot to do with your philosophy, and your philosophy has a lot to do with shaping your attitude. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about life, how you feel about your direction, how you feel about others around you, your attitude. You've got to know. You've got to gather up enough knowledge and information to know what's right for you. How do you gather up information? Well, you can start with your own experiences. The best way to know if something works for you the right way is to do it the wrong way. Now you can't keep doing it the wrong way. You've got to be smart enough to say, hey, this isn't working, and change it. Start doing it the right way. Then, search for the knowledge and apply what's right for you in your life. Develop your own attitudes and philosophies around your own experiences and the experiences of others. Take all of the information you have gathered and compile it. Consider it. Debate it. Tear it apart. Turn it upside down. Look at it from your own perspective, and refine it to suit you. Rearrange it. Throw some of it out. Keep what you think will work for you. And most importantly, make sure that what you end up doing is the product of your own. Conclusion. Make sure that the knowledge you are building is your own self-knowledge. The second component of positive self-direction is self-preparation. Self-preparation involves being ready for the opportunities when they show up in your life. Being ready for the sales call that may make you a fortune. Being ready for the meeting that may positively affect your career. Being ready for it all in expectation that it will come. For those of you who are parents, when you found out that a new member of the family was going to come along in 9 months or so, what did you do? You started getting ready. You started reading books on how to best handle a baby, buying everything you needed, and asking for advice. You defined your parenting style, and got ready for a major change in your life. Preparing for your own life is pretty much the same. Defining a goal, planning, knowing that with enough dedication and hard work, you'll meet your goal. It will be tough at first, but the sacrifice is worth it. So, in the meantime, you've got to be ready for it. If you wish to be ruler over many, you've got to be faithful with few. If you wish to have power and influence over many, be the leader of many, and get the return from many, be faithful when there's just a few. Be disciplined, and in your own enlightened self-interest, that gives you the best chance to be the ruler, to have power, influence, or a place of honor among the many. Be faithful when there's just a few. Set up the lines when there's a few. Be totally absorbed when there's just a few. Then, put yourself in line so that when a leadership position opens with many, you'll be called. That's the key. The same thing goes with your money. Positive self-direction says, in your own enlightened self-interest, pay real close attention to just a few dollars. Really know where they come from and where they go. Set up the disciplines when the amounts are small, and you'll be on your way to handling it when the amounts are many. Enlightened self-interest, positive self-direction, self-preparation. Be ready for tomorrow by doing all that you can today. Set your goals. Set a goal that will make you stretch for what it will make of you to achieve it. The greatest value in life is not what you get, but what you become. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here, but what am I becoming here? Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. So there you have the two components of positive self-direction. Self-knowledge and self-preparation. You need both aspects, figuring out who you are and what you want, and being prepared for the day you reach your goals. Being ready, being worthy, becoming the person you need to be in pursuit of what you want. What good is an opportunity if you're not prepared to take advantage of it? Be prepared. Self-preparation has two benefits. The first benefit is that it moves you toward your goal. The second major benefit is that it refuels your ambition. The things you are doing today are getting you ready for tomorrow. It's exciting. Ambition must be kept alive, must continue to move forward. Otherwise, you're just daydreaming. You must keep active, keep moving forward, but your ambition can fuel you, motivate you, and get you where you want to be. This method of self-preparation involves 3 steps. 1. Carefully consider where the next opportunity for reaching your goal will originate. 2. Make sure you know what you need to do to be prepared for your opportunities. 3. Do all you can to make each opportunity more likely to happen. Taking responsibility for your own life, knowing that what is happening now is the direct result of your past activities, is crucial. Being self-reliant means counting on yourself, trusting yourself, and being responsible to yourself. Gestalt psychologists give an example of being self-reliant. They say that you're responsible for getting caught in the rain. They say that by deciding not to carry an umbrella every day, you have made the decision to endure an occasional drenching. Translation. By not being prepared, you make the choice of getting caught in some of life's unpleasant circumstances, be they rain, failures, economic losses, relationship losses, professional losses, or personal losses. By not being prepared, think ahead. It's your choice. Now here's the other side of it. By being prepared, you increase your chances of success. By being prepared, you increase your chances of success, of seizing opportunities when they come your way, of being ready within yourself to take advantage of once-in-a-lifetime situations. Some people tend to blame others for their mistakes, blame others for their failures. Somebody says, "It's not my fault the report isn't done. So-and-so didn't do their part." Of course it's your fault. It's your report too. It's your responsibility to see that everyone you delegated work to does their part. Now you can't control what others around you do, but it's in your own best self-interest, your enlightened self-interest, that you stay on top of things, especially if it's going to affect your future. Be responsible for the things that affect you. You can make sure you're more responsible by checking in with those people who are working with you, the people who make up your team. You can be more responsible by saying, "Hey John, how are you doing with your part? Do you need some help? Can we put somebody else in here to help you finish?" Now, if John consistently doesn't handle his part, you've got to replace John. If he isn't doing his share, you've got to find somebody that will, or it will negatively affect you. You can't wake up in the morning that the project is due hoping and wishing that John has done his part. No, you've got to be responsible because it's going to affect your career too. Somebody says, "Well, then how will my life ever change?" Answer: when you change. When you change, when you get better, it'll get better. If you change, it'll all change. Don't put it on someone else. Hope that someone else will change it for you. Take responsibility for yourself. Take personal responsibility. You can't change the circumstances or the seasons or the wind, but you can change your reading habits. You can change whether or not you go for the skills, burn the midnight oil, turn yourself around, multiply your value by 2, 3, 5, 10 that you've got charge of, that you have control of. You don't have control of the constellations, but you've got control over whether or not you go to night school, take adult classes, learn some new skills. You have control over that, and if you don't, that's your fault. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to be self-reliant. You. Nobody else can change your life, alter your ambitions, pave a golden road for you. But you can. It's up to you. Be responsible for yourself. Whenever your preparations lead to success, achieving your goals, you reinforce the disciplines that got you there. Success leads to the reinforcement of the proper disciplines. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. If what you're doing isn't working, change it. When you are doing all that you can possibly do and are successful at reaching your expectations, keep doing it. Success is a reinforcement. Psychologists call this positive reinforcement. We all know about positive reinforcement. That's how we train our dogs. That's how we teach our kids. That's how the trainers at SeaWorld can get a killer whale to do tricks and follow commands and work side by side with humans. By positive reinforcement. When you bring a brand new puppy home and try to teach him not to mess in the house, what do? You reward him for going outside or scratching at the door. When you're trying to get your toddler out of the diaper stage, what do? You reward her with special presents, make her feel special for learning something new. When you're trying to get your older kids to crack the books and study, what do? You reward them when they get good grades. You teach them that the skills they are developing now will have great positive effects on their lives later, but you reward them now. This is positive reinforcement. Learning that there are rewards for doing something good, something worthwhile, something of value. The greater the value, the greater the reward. The better you do, the better you reward. The greater the value, the greater the reward. A bigger paycheck, a better house, financial freedom. It's all a reward system. Now there are two major benefits of positive reinforcement. Number one, positive reinforcement builds good habits. If what you are doing, the habits you've gotten into, are building your ambition and increasing your success, keep doing them. Your success is affirming that these habits are good. Your success tells you that you need to keep doing what you are doing. By reviewing these habits that bring on success, you reinforce them, give them sticking power. Don't waste your time on things that aren't going to matter, but a few simple disciplines can change your whole economic future. Future with your family, future with your business, future with your enterprise, your sales career, your management career. A few simple disciplines, a few simple habits, repeated every day. Now here's the formula for failure. Errors in judgment, repeated every day. All you've got to do is to have a few errors in your judgment, and repeat them every day. I'm telling you, they'll spin out of control. In 10 years, you'll end up driving what you don't want to drive, wearing what you don't want to wear, living where you don't want to live, earning what you don't want to earn. A few errors every day, bad habits every day, it's disastrous. Now here's why. It's easy to repeat an error in judgment because failure doesn't fall at the end of the first day. Bad habits don't show their horrible results at the end of the first day, or the first week, or the first month. It's easy to get faked out. If disaster fell on us at the end of the first week, we'd change our philosophy. But it's so subtle. Errors in judgment, bad habits. They're so subtle they get you a little off course, a little off course, a little off course. You keep drifting off course, and all of a sudden, you're caught. So you've got the choice right now of one of two easies. Easy to do, or easy not to do. I can give you in one sentence how I got rich by the time I was 31. I did not neglect to do the easy things I could do. For 6 years I did not neglect. That's the key. I found something easy I could do that led to fortune, and I did not neglect to do it. The major reason for not having more of what you want in America, more health, more money, more power, more influence, more everything. The major reason is simple: neglect. Neglect, and if you don't take care of neglect, it becomes an infection, and then it becomes a disease. So, if you're in the habit of not doing all it takes to get ahead, get in the habit of doing all it takes. That's the first benefit of positive reinforcement, building good habits. Now the second benefit of positive reinforcement is that it creates the energy to fuel additional achievement. It gives you the drive to do more, to not only keep on doing what's right, but to do more of what's right, the disciplines that will help you grow and get ahead. All the knowledge that what you're doing is paying off creates more energy to keep going. How easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're not doing all that it takes? It's not very easy at all. You can just lay there, awake, thinking, oh, what's a few more minutes in bed? It won't matter much anyway. Wrong. It does matter. It will matter. Now how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're pouring it on, doing the best you can, anxious to get going, make progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're resting to renew your reserves, it's much different than resting to avoid your day. When you're psyched up and excited for your life, when you're excited for what you've planned to accomplish for the day, it's amazing. You'll wake up before the alarm clock even tries to startle you awake. Your successes fuel your ambition, your successes give you extra energy, your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy. How do you know when you're successful? Do you have to be a millionaire? No. All we ask of you is that you earn all you possibly can. If you earn $10,000 a year and that's the best you can do, that's enough. God and everything else will see to it that you're okay. The key is to just do the best you can. If it's $10,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $100,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $1 million a year, wonderful. It doesn't matter. $10,000 a year or $1 million a year, it doesn't matter. As long as you've done the best you possibly can. Earn the most you possibly can. Be the most you possibly can. And here's why. The essence of life is growth. The essence of life is growth. To do the best you can, most people just try to get through the day, never writing anything down, never keeping track of their progress along the way, never really knowing if they are doing all they can to reach their goals, to drive their ambition. But gifted people learn to get from the day. They don't let a day end without picking up some valuable experience, some emotional content, some idea that may positively affect their future. To get the most from a day, to learn the most from a day, you need to be able to reflect on the day. And how can you reflect on a day unless you record it in history? How can you possibly reflect on a week unless you can look back and analyze it? How can you learn from past mistakes and bask in past successes unless you write it all down? There's something magical in writing out a problem. It's almost as though when you start writing it out, you start figuring out ways to make it work. Perhaps the magic is that when you write it down, you can now be objective. You can start to see objectively where you fit into the picture. You can start to see if you are being responsible, if you are being self-reliant. You are pondering it. You are trying to figure it all out. The fact that it is now on paper actually creates a space between you and the problem, and in the space that you have created, now solutions have room to grow. You see, writing about events that occur helps you to understand exactly what is happening. When we describe life to ourselves only in our minds, our imaginations tend to feed back false information about how things are, distorted information. Sometimes our creativity can create scenarios that really don't exist at all if we keep the information just in our mind. But by writing it all down, we now can become more factual, more accurate, more realistic, more logical. And then, as we reread what we have written, we create a new picture in our mind. And once we see things as they are, rather than how we think they are, we can see our way to make them better. You know when you thought you were doing what you were supposed to do and were misinformed? The times you thought you had it all laid out and it just didn't work? The times when you burned the midnight oil day after day, and it didn't seem to help, it didn't seem to change the end result? These are the times that you have to rely on your own self-encouragement. And there are two ways to use self-encouragement. Number 1. Take responsibility for the missed opportunity or the misrepresentation. Learn from the fact that even though your client wanted it one way, and you presented it the right way, it didn't work. Be prepared for the letdowns that happen every so often. Know that this lost opportunity just set you up better for the next one. Realize that you can make the necessary alterations next time. Make the changes that will make the difference. Study your mistakes and learn from them. Don't dwell on the mistakes. Acknowledge them. Learn from them. Encourage yourself that you're smarter than your bank account leads you to believe. The second way to use self-encouragement, remind yourself that you're bound to get better. Don't get down on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's the next opportunity that matters, not the last one, the next one. Now the last one matters only in that you must learn from your mistakes, but the next one gives you the opportunity to show that you have learned from your mistakes. You can do it better next time. You just have to practice, practice, practice. Keep trying, until what? Until you've got it down. If you figured out what went wrong last time, then you know how to make it right next time. If you figured out what it was in your presentation that didn't work, don't do that next time. If you figured out that the reason you didn't close the deal this time was because you didn't have all the facts and figures in place, have all the facts and figures in place next time. Don't beat yourself up for messing up. Pat yourself on the back for figuring it out. You need to encourage yourself. You need to pump yourself up. You need to be your own cheerleader. Why? Because you can't wait and hope that someone else will come along and cheer you up, make you feel better, tell you that you'll do better next time. You have to rely on yourself. You have to have faith in yourself and your ability to figure out what works and what doesn't, what's right and what's wrong. You have to have the inner belief that everything you're doing for a positive outcome in the future. You have to encourage yourself with future successes. The number 1 way to use self-encouragement: take responsibility for missed opportunities and study your mistakes. Number 2. Don't get down on yourself. Encourage yourself with your future. Encourage yourself with your goals, your dreams, your ambition, knowing that you've got a plan, knowing that you're taking the right steps, knowing that you're going to do it. Until when? Until you miss an opportunity, are unprepared for an opportunity, or suffer a setback while realizing your goals. When you miss out, you need to encourage yourself by immediately getting back in line. There's an old cowboy saying, fall off a horse 7 times and you're a real cowboy. If you fall off a horse, get right back on. If you fall off track, get right back on. If you fall away from your disciplines, get right back to them. If you fall out of habit, get back into the habit. If you fall off, get back on. If you fall off the horse of habits, or disciplines or progress, get back on. It may be hard, it may be a bit frightening, but get back on. Keep your ambition alive and active and well. We must all suffer one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you don't spend an ounce of discipline, you'll most likely suffer tons of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. It's much easier to be disciplined and have the money than to try to rationalize why you don't. I'm telling you, better a few disciplines than a lack of dignity. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for fewer challenges, wish for more wisdom. Don't wish for it to change out there. Develop yourself to the point that you can truly and totally rely on yourself. I used to belong to the 97% who couldn't be bothered, even if it was easy. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame game they cling to. Start a new life. You may ask, is it as simple as getting a library card and joining the 3%? And the answer is, of course yes. That's how easy this stuff is. It's so simple, not complex at all. You don't need a 2,000-year-old guru or multi-track affirmations. I'm telling you, affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Don't let somebody sweep you into some contrary way. Nature itself says, unless you labor, the miracle of the seed, the soil, the seasons, and everything else like sunshine and rain, it's only available to you by labor. So labor well, learn well, discipline yourself well, and you can have all the treasures you want. This stuff is easy and simple. It's not like ocean waves and seagulls. The first thing you know, this whole scenario for you is spinning up instead of out of control on the negative side. This is all you have to do. Start committing yourself to life change. Once you start down this road, I promise you, you'll join the 10% and the 3%. Guess how many people can retire from the income of their own personal resources when it comes time to retire? The answer is 5%. In the most independent country in the world, 95% are dependent, and only 5% are independent. Take charge of your own retirement. If you take charge of your own retirement through personal development and all these skills we've taught today, you can multiply it at least by 5, maybe by 10, maybe by 20, maybe by 100. Don't let the government or some company take care of it. Take charge of your own life, your own day, your own conversation, your own family, your own possibilities. Learn these skills, develop this kind of strategy, and life will open up for you. Join the 3%, join the 10%, join the 5%. Walk away from the 95%. Find out what poor people read, and don't read it. Don't talk like they talk. Lend a helping hand, but don't fall into their poor philosophical scenario. Don't blame what they blame. Don't use the excuses they use. It's called the language of the poor. Switch gears, switch language, switch ideas, switch strategy. Start with the simplest of disciplines, and don't demean any of these disciplines. The smallest of disciplines starts the process of life change. If you invest in this thing called disciplining, you can have whatever you wish. It's called the beginning of a miracle. We all must suffer one of 2 pains, regardless of your choice of lifestyle. The pain of discipline, or the pain of regret. Consider the disciplines because disciplines weigh ounces. Do the best you can. If it's a foggy night and you can only see 100 ft, how can you see another 100 ft? Answer. Walk the first 100 ft, walk as far as you can see, and then you can see some more. So, just do it as far as you can see it, and I promise you, if you execute as far as you can see it, you'll be able to see more. Do that, then you can see more. Finally, get in tune with doing the best you can. and you'll have the activity that'll develop the disciplines that will set sail, so that you can say, "It doesn't matter how the wind blows, I'm prepared." For some people, they see discipline as an ugly word, but what you must understand is discipline is the most incredible creative force. Discipline builds a career, develops good health, forms incredible marriages, friendships that won't quit, and skills that can touch the world. Disciplines open up music, architecture, playing an instrument, sculpting, painting, writing, composing. Those are the disciplines. And disciplines give us the indication that yes, it doesn't come except by discipline. But it also means that discipline is the open door to the creative process, to turn nothing into something, and to turn imagination into reality. So, here's what you must learn to do. Appreciate and welcome the disciplines. Here's a good question to ask. What other discipline could I begin that would open up a whole new expression in my life of turning imagination into reality? Without discipline, there is no enterprise, no magnificent structure, no music, no health, no advantage, and no future. So, discipline is everything when it comes to imagination, having something real, believing in it, and turning it into reality. The key to development is to be all that you can possibly be. I don't know what your talents are, what your skills are, but here's what I'm probably right about. You're behind on an accelerated effort towards your full development. For some of you, I know that's probably not true, but even as I look at my own life, because I'm tempted to procrastinate just like everybody else. I should have written 30 books by now, I've only written 4 or 5, I should have done a lot of things, but I haven't. I got distracted. And all of us have these challenges. But what could I become? What could I become? I had one of my dearest friends, I've lost him, he died at age 53 one day. And he drank a little too much. David drank a little too much. But he did all kinds of things, he was a builder, he was a dreamer, and he did a lot of things. But his drinking sort of kept him in a fog for years and years. About 6 years ago, he was sitting at the yacht club, and he was in a fog. And suddenly it occurred to him, I wonder what I could have accomplished all these years, if I hadn't been in this sort of foggy state. And he said, that did it. And the last 6 years before he died, he was free, and he accomplished some incredible things. That last 6 years, being all that you can be and not let habits drag you down. Not let things sidetrack you from the full development of what you have the capability of being. What could your heart encompass if you really had the chance, and you really had the disciplines, and really got to it? What could you really become? What could you earn? How healthy could you really be? How many books could you write? How many poems could you write? So here's what I would ask of you. If you feel that you're a little bit stalled wherever you are in your progress, I'm asking you to correct that. I'm asking you to see if you can't possibly be on a more accelerated track toward your possibilities and your full development. Here's what life is all about. To become all that we can possibly be, the full development of all of your potential. That's number 1. Number 2 is the wise use of all your resources. That's what life is all about. Discipline. If there is a magic word that stands out above all the rest, this is the one. Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment, the bridge between inspiration and value achievement, the bridge between necessity and productivity. Remember, all good things are upstream. The passing of time takes us adrift, and drifting only brings us the negative, the disastrous, the disappointment, and the failure. Failure is not a cataclysmic event. It is not generally the result of one major incident, but rather a long list of accumulated little failings. Failing in life is failing to think today, failing to act today, failing to care, to strive, to climb, to learn, to keep trying day by day. If your goal requires that you write 10 letters today, and you write only 3, you are down 7 letters. If you want to make 5 calls and you only make 1, you are down 4 calls. If your plan calls for saving $10 today, and you save none, you're down $10 today. Now the danger is looking at an undisciplined day, and concluding that no great harm has been done. It doesn't seem like such a bad day. But add up these days to make a year, and then add up those years to make a lifetime. And perhaps you can now see how repeating today's small failures can easily turn your life into a major disaster. Success, on the other hand, is just the same process in reverse. If you plan to make 10 calls and you end the day making 15, now you're up 5 calls. If you then get up a few on letters, move up the savings numbers, you can see what a massive difference it could make in a year, and what wealth and accomplishment awaits for a lifetime. Discipline is like a set of magic keys that unlock all the doors of wealth, happiness, sophistication, culture, high self-esteem, pride, joy, accomplishment, satisfaction, and success. The first key to discipline is awareness of the need for and the value of discipline, and especially the discipline to make the changes. What will it take? What must I do? And what must I become to get all I want from my life? The second key is the willingness, more than that, the eagerness to maintain your new discipline deliberately, wisely, consistently. And the third key to discipline is the commitment to master the circumstances of your daily life, to see and harness the opportunities, to make something of the sun and the rain, the good as well as what comes in the guise of misfortune. Discipline does many things, but most important of all is what it does for you. It makes you feel better about yourself. Even the smallest discipline can have an incredible effect on your attitude, and the good feeling you get, that surging feeling of self-worth that comes from starting a new discipline, is almost as good as the feeling that comes from the accomplishment of the discipline. Second, a new discipline immediately alters your life direction. You don't change destinations immediately, that is yet to come, but you can change direction immediately, and direction is very important. Third, discipline cooperates with nature. Everything strives. It is a common life function. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it can. Everything strives to become all it can possibly be, and that striving to become is what discipline is all about. Disciplining ourselves to fulfill our natural potential, to become all that we can be. And finally, discipline attracts opportunity. Opportunity is always looking for ambition and skill in action. Discipline taps the unlimited power of commitment, the human will in action, driven by inspiration, enticed by desire, tempered by reason, guided by intelligence, can bring you to that high and lofty place called the good life. So start the new process. You can begin a new habit, no matter how small it is. Small isn't important. Whether or not you start and whether or not you continue are all that is important. So, to have a prosperous life, start a prosperity plan. To become wealthy, start a wealth plan. Remember, you don't have to be wealthy to have a wealth plan. A person with no means can have a rich plan. If you are ill, start a health plan. If you don't have energy, start an energy plan. If you don't feel good, start a feel-good plan. If you're not smart, start a smart plan. If you can't, start a can plan. If you haven't, start a have plan. Anyone can, even a bad person can start hearing good messages and reading good books. Recognize that the start of the better life, the happy life, the wealthy life, is today. This is exciting. Both the process and the result can begin today. Start the new journey today. If you think of a new idea, today is the day to begin the discipline of putting that idea into action. Set this day up as a long, busy, exciting start for your new life. Get your first book for your new library today. Begin your new practice of setting goals today. Start clearing out a drawer of your new orderly desk today. Start eating an apple a day on your new health plan today. Put some money in your new investment for fortune account today. Start reading with intensity for your new wealth of mind plan today. Write a postponed letter today. Make a delayed telephone call today. Pick up your camera and take a picture of something to start your new treasury of photographs today. Get some momentum going on your new commitment to the better life. See how many activities you can pile on in this first day. Go all out. Break away from the negative downward pull of gravity. Start the thrusters going. Prove to yourself that waiting is over, hoping is past, and that faith and action have now taken charge. It's a new day, a new beginning for your new life. With discipline, you can't believe the list of positive moves you can make in the first day of your new beginning. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong, that's the time to act. You say, "Mr. Run, I'd like to have a library like yours." See if you feel strong about that. What you've got to do is get the first book, and then get the second book before the feeling passes, and before the idea gets dim. Action, pronto action, immediate action, as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to, when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now, if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish, 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 and a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, it can't be found. So act. Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. Says, right, I need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action. Otherwise the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise the emotion soon passes unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Discipline is called how to capture the emotion, and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone. Don't be naive in saying, well, this doesn't matter. I'm telling you, everything matters. There are some things that matter more than others, but there isn't anything that doesn't matter. Okay? We all pity the man who says, well, this is the only place I let down. Not true. Key to take home. Every letdown affects the rest of your performance. Every letdown affects the rest. This is part of the educational process on personal development. If you don't take the walk around the block, you probably won't do the apple a day. If you don't do the apple a day, you probably won't start building your library. If you don't build your library, you probably won't keep a journal. And you won't take pictures. And you won't do this. You won't do wise things with your money. Won't do wise things with your time. Won't do wise things with your possibilities and relationships. And the first thing you know, 6 years of that accumulated. And we say, you have messed up. So, the whole key to reversing that process now, is to start picking up these disciplines. Now here's the positive side. Every new discipline affects the rest of your disciplines. Every new one affects the rest. That's why action is so important. The least action, the smallest action, take it. Because when you start accomplishing and the value starts to return from that one action, it'll inspire you to do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. You start walking around the block. It'll inspire you to get an apple. It'll inspire you to get a book. It'll inspire you to get a journal. It'll inspire you to grow, develop some skills. All disciplines affect each other. Every lack affects the rest. Every new affects the rest. The key is to diminish the lack and set up the new, and you've started a whole new life process. You know, I've often thought about the journey of success. And one key element always stands out. The sheer force of will to get things done. It's like sailing a ship. You can have the finest vessel, the best crew, but without setting a course and pushing forward, you'll simply drift. Today, I want to talk about that. The art of pushing yourself, of moving beyond the ordinary to achieve the extraordinary. Imagine, if you will, a person much like any one of us, standing at the crossroads of decision. Every day we face these crossroads moments where our choices define us. And in these moments, it's not just about making decisions, but about making the right decisions. Now, I'm not talking about choosing what to have for breakfast. I'm talking about the choices that scare us, that push us, that force us out of our comfort zones. You see, there's a powerful force within each of us, a force often untapped. It's the ability to compel ourselves to do what needs to be done, even when everything in us wants to procrastinate or avoid it. Think about the last time you really didn't want to do something. Maybe it was a tough conversation, maybe it was a project that seemed insurmountable. We've all been there, haven't we? That moment where the easier choice is to say, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the thing. Tomorrow becomes the next day, and the next, and soon enough, what was a molehill becomes a mountain. In these moments, the difference between success and stagnation is action. Action is the foundational key to all success. It's not just about having knowledge or talent. It's about using that knowledge, harnessing that talent. You could have the intellect of Einstein, but without action, it's like having a library of books that you never read. So, how do we tap into this force? How do we push ourselves to take action, especially when it's tough? Well, that's the journey we're on together today. It's about understanding the why behind the what. It's about learning to embrace the discomfort of growth, because let me tell you, growth and comfort do not coexist. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone. Don't be naive in saying, well, this doesn't matter. I'm telling you, everything matters. There are some things that matter more than others, but there isn't anything that doesn't matter. We all pity the man who says, this is the only place I let down. But that's not true. The key takeaway. Every letdown affects the rest of your performance. Every letdown affects the rest. This is part of the educational process on personal development. If you don't take the walk around the block, you probably won't do the apple a day. If you don't do the apple a day, you probably won't start building your library. If you don't build your library, you probably won't keep a journal, and you won't take pictures, and you won't do wise things with your money, with your time, with your possibilities and relationships. And the first thing you know, 6 years of that accumulated. And we say, you have messed up. So, the whole key to reversing that process now is to start picking up these disciplines. The smallest action, the least action, the action that you won't think will matter. It all matters. Take it. Because when you start accomplishing, and the value starts to return, you'll find inspiration to do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But for this whole process to work for us, we must first master the art of discipline. Self-discipline. Consistent self-discipline. It doesn't really matter how smart you are or how much you know. If you don't use it, it doesn't really matter if you attended every seminar that comes to town. If you don't apply what you've learned, better than knowledge is applied knowledge. And once we've applied our knowledge, we must study the results of that process. Apply our knowledge, study the results, refine our approach. Pretty soon we'll find that we're swept into a spiral of achievement, a vertical rise to success. It takes consistent self-discipline to master the art of setting goals, to master the art of time management, to master the art of leadership, to master the art of parenting and relationships. If we don't make consistent self-discipline part of our daily lives, the results we seek will be sporadic and elusive. It takes a consistent effort to truly manage our valuable time, or we'll be consistently frustrated. Our time will be eaten up by others whose demands are stronger than our own. It takes discipline to conquer the nagging voices in our minds. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty, the fear of a broken heart. It takes discipline to keep trying when that nagging voice within us brings up the possibility of failure. It takes discipline to admit our errors and recognize our limitations. The voice of the human ego speaks to all of us sometimes. The voice of ego says that we should magnify our value beyond our results. It leads us to exaggerate, to not be totally honest. It takes discipline to be totally honest, both with ourselves and with others. It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day, every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a granite cable. They act like a nearly unbreakable instinct that only long-term discipline and activity can change. I want you to think about a goal, a dream, something you've been putting off. Hold that in your mind as we embark on this discussion. Because today isn't just about theories and words. It's about transformation. It's about turning. Let's dive into this journey together, shall we? Let's explore how we can harness the force within us, turn the tide in our favor, and truly set sail towards our dreams. Remember, it's not just about the destination. It's about the journey. And this journey is about discovering the incredible power of self-discipline, the power to move mountains, to change our lives. Let's begin this adventure with open minds and willing hearts. Let's commit to ourselves, to our dreams, to the journey of forcing ourselves to get it done, no matter what. Remember, the only limits that exist are the ones we place on ourselves. Let's break those barriers and soar to new heights. It's not just about the goal. It's about who we become in the process of reaching that goal. It's about the strength we gain, the wisdom we acquire, and the character we build. Imagine for a moment a world where everyone exercised perfect self-discipline. Picture people following through on every promise they made. Imagine the achievements, the transformations. Now I know what you're thinking. That world sounds ideal, perhaps too good to be true. But here's the secret. That world begins with you. It starts the moment you decide to take control of your life. You see, self-discipline is about taking responsibility. It's about making choices, not excuses. It's about saying no to the things that harm us, and yes to the things that help us grow. It's about making a commitment to yourself, and keeping it. It's easy to be disciplined when someone is watching. But true self-discipline is what you do when no one is looking. It's the choices you make in those quiet, unseen moments that truly define who you are. Here's the greatest value of discipline: self-worth, self-esteem. People are teaching self-esteem these days, but they don't connect it to discipline. The slightest lack of discipline starts to erode our psyche. It's one of the greatest temptations to just ease up a little bit. Instead of doing your best, doing just a little less than your best. Sure enough, you say, well, it's just going to affect my sales. No, it's going to affect your consciousness. It's going to affect your philosophy. Now you've begun, in the slightest way, to affect your own philosophy. But don't forget, self-discipline is also a challenge. It's a muscle that needs constant exercise. And just like any muscle, it can tire, it can feel strained. But that's just a sign that it's growing stronger. Each time you push through the temptation to give up, you're not just moving one step closer to your goal. You're also building your self-discipline muscle. You're teaching yourself that you can do hard things, that you can overcome challenges, and this, in itself, is a victory. Think about the last time you really pushed yourself, when you went beyond your comfort zone. Maybe it was working on a project late into the night, or perhaps it was saying no to a temptation that would have derailed your progress. How did you feel afterwards? Exhausted maybe, but also exhilarated. That feeling, that's the power of self-discipline. Self-discipline also means being able to delay gratification. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding that the pain of discipline now is nothing compared to the pain of regret later. It's about choosing long-term satisfaction over short-term comfort. This is where many falter, mistaking the easy road for the right road. But not you. You're here because you're ready to choose the right road, no matter how challenging it may be. Remember, self-discipline doesn't mean living a life of restriction. It means living a life of balance. It's about knowing when to work hard and when to rest, when to push yourself and when to recharge. It's about listening to your body, your mind, and your heart. It's about harmony. When you master self-discipline, you're not just mastering a skill, you're mastering life itself. And be clear, mastering self-discipline doesn't mean you'll never fail or falter. We're all human, after all. It's about how you respond to those failures. Do you let them defeat you, or do you use them as stepping stones to greater success? Every setback, every obstacle, is an opportunity to practice self-discipline, to get back up, dust yourself off, and move forward with even more determination. Now let's turn our focus to a challenge that many of us face: the twin hurdles of procrastination and laziness. These are not just mere inconveniences, they are the thieves of time, the enemies of progress. They sneak up on us, whispering sweet lies of later and someday. But let me tell you, later is a dream killer, and someday is a thief of potential. Procrastination and laziness are like quicksand. The more we give in, the deeper we sink, and the harder it becomes to pull ourselves out. How often have we said, "I'll start tomorrow," only to find that tomorrow brings its own set of excuses? It's a cycle, a dangerous loop that spins us around and keeps us from moving forward. But here's the good news. Just as we can fall into the cycle, we can also break free from it. The key? Immediate, deliberate action. It's the antidote to procrastination, the enemy of laziness. Don't be lazy in learning. Don't be lazy in picking up ideas. Don't be lazy in learning from your own experience. Get serious. Life is serious. We call it life or death. If you want to live a good, long, flourishing life, you've got to push back. You can't just give in. You've got to push back. That's what these products are for, to help you push back. And we're dealing with some serious matters here. So we can't just tell the latest 10 jokes and go home. We're not here to entertain. We're here to instruct. We're here to grow, to learn, to get the best we possibly can. Serious. Life is serious. The future is serious. Now I know what you're thinking, but it's hard to start. And you're right. It is hard. Starting is often the hardest part. But remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It's about taking that first small step. It doesn't have to be a leap. Just a step. The magic lies in the momentum you create once you start. It's like pushing a car. The initial push takes all your might, but once it starts rolling, it gets easier. So how do we start? First, by setting clear, achievable goals. Goals that excite us, that ignite a fire within us. When your goal is clear, your focus sharpens, and procrastination loses its power. Then, break these goals into smaller, bite-sized tasks, so small that it seems almost ridiculous not to do them. It's about tricking the mind, making the task seem so easy, so doable, that procrastination has no room to creep in. And what about laziness? Laziness thrives in the absence of a compelling why. You need a why that's so powerful, so compelling, that it pulls you out of the comfort of inaction. Your why should be like a beacon, guiding you through the fog of laziness, reminding you of the bigger picture, the reason you're doing what you're doing. Remember, it's not just about the external goals, it's also about respecting yourself. Every time you overcome procrastination, every time you choose action over inaction, you're building self-respect. You're telling yourself, I am worth the effort. My dreams are worth the effort. And believe me, there's no feeling quite like looking in the mirror and knowing you've kept a promise to yourself. That's the kind of self-respect that builds empires, that changes lives. Our environment plays a crucial role in overcoming procrastination and laziness. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals, with people who inspire you to act. Create an environment that encourages productivity, one that makes it easier to start and harder to quit. Remember, our surroundings often shape our actions. Make yours a breeding ground for success. And don't forget the power of routine. A solid, well-structured routine can be a fortress against the onslaught of procrastination and laziness. When you have a routine, you don't need to waste energy deciding what to do next. It's already laid out for you. This frees up mental space for creativity, for productivity. Now, overcoming these challenges is not just about brute force, it's also about understanding the root cause. Ask yourself, why am I procrastinating? What am I avoiding? Often procrastination is a symptom of fear of failure, fear of success, fear of stepping out of our comfort zone. Address these fears, confront them, and you'll find that procrastination loses its grip on you. And in those moments when you do fall prey to procrastination or laziness, don't be too hard on yourself. Remember, we're all human. The key is not to dwell in that space. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and then step back into action with renewed vigor. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Every task completed, every moment of laziness overcome, is a victory. Celebrate these, cherish them. They are the stepping stones to greater successes. It becomes clear that the building blocks of success are often the smallest ones. I'm talking about habits. Yes, habits. Those little routines, those daily acts that we do almost without thinking. They might seem insignificant on their own, but cumulatively, they hold the power to transform our lives. This is where personal growth either blossoms or withers. You see, habits are like the threads in a tapestry. Each thread might seem inconsequential, but together, they create a picture of our lives. The quality of our habits determines the quality of that picture. Good habits lead to a life of strength and beauty, while bad habits lead to a life that, like a poorly woven tapestry, can easily come undone. Think about this. How many of our days are spent on autopilot? We wake up, go through our routines, and before we know it, the day is gone. Now imagine if those routines, those habits, were all designed to propel you towards your goals. That's the power of intentional habit formation. But how do we form good habits? It starts with awareness. You must first become a keen observer of your own life. Ask yourself, what are my current habits? Are they serving me or holding me back? This level of self-awareness is the first step towards meaningful change. Once you've identified the habits you need to change, it's about starting small. Too often we try to overhaul our lives overnight. That's like trying to lift a weight too heavy for us. It's unsustainable. Instead, start with small, manageable changes. Want to exercise more? Start with a 10-minute walk each day, not an hour at the gym. Small successes build momentum, and momentum leads to bigger successes. But forming new habits isn't just about doing, it's also about unlearning. It's about breaking the chains of old, unproductive habits. This is where discipline comes in, the same discipline we talked about earlier. It's about making choices that align with your new goals, even when it's uncomfortable. Remember, comfort is often the enemy of growth. Consistency is the secret ingredient in habit formation. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. This might mean making small sacrifices like waking up earlier, or turning off the TV to focus on a project. These sacrifices might seem significant in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, they're the price of success. Forming new habits is not just a solo journey. Surround yourself with people who embody the habits you want to adopt. We are, after all, social creatures, and we're heavily influenced by those around us. If you're surrounded by disciplined, focused individuals, it's much easier to adopt those traits yourself. Bear in mind that habits don't just impact our actions, they shape our identity. Every time you practice a good habit, you're not just getting closer to your goal. You're also telling yourself, this is who I am. You're building an identity as someone who takes action, who values discipline, who strives for excellence. This identity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, propelling you forward. But be honest, change is hard. Old habits die hard, they say. There will be days when you'll falter, when the old ways will beckon. In those moments, it's crucial to remember why you started. Reflect on your goals, your dreams, your vision for your life. Remind yourself that every habit, no matter how small, is a step towards that vision. And when you do slip up, don't beat yourself up. Growth is not a linear journey. It's a series of ups and downs, successes and setbacks. What matters is not that you stumbled, but that you have the courage to get back up each time. Each time you do, you're strengthening your resolve, your discipline, your commitment to your new habits. Now let's talk about the power of routine. A solid routine can serve as a framework for your habits. It gives your day structure, a rhythm that makes it easier to incorporate new habits and discard old ones. Think of it as scaffolding for your life. As you build new habits, this scaffolding supports you, guiding you upwards towards your goals. And as you work on building these habits, be patient with yourself. Habits are not formed overnight. They require time, repetition, and persistence. But the rewards are worth the effort. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the habits you once struggled with are now second nature. That's a sign of true personal growth. How many opportunities have we allowed to slip through the hourglass of time due to the inertia induced by procrastination? It is the thief of progress, the silent killer of aspirations. Today I challenge you to break free from its shackles, to embrace the power of decisive action. For it is through action that we carve our destinies. Negativity, like a corrosive force, can eat away at the foundation of our dreams. Whether it's negative thoughts that erode our self-belief or negative influences that sap our vitality, it's time to bid farewell to the toxic embrace of negativity. Surround yourself with positivity, with individuals who uplift and inspire. Cultivate an optimistic mindset. For in the soil of positivity, the seeds of greatness find fertile ground. Let us also confront the age-old nemesis called fear. Fear has a way of paralyzing us, keeping us confined within the familiar comfort of our comfort zones. But my friends, growth and comfort are incompatible bedfellows. Challenge your fears head-on, for beyond fear lies the undiscovered country of untapped potential and boundless opportunities. As we navigate this journey of self-discovery, let's dismantle the erroneous notion that success is synonymous with the accumulation of wealth or possessions. The true measure of success lies not in material acquisitions, but in the intangible qualities that define our character. Strive for personal growth, for the refinement of your character, and for the positive impact you can have on the world around you. Let's now integrate these principles into our lives, crafting a tapestry of purpose and meaning. Imagine a life where self-doubt is replaced by unwavering self-confidence, where procrastination yields to the relentless pursuit of dreams, and where negativity is overshadowed by the radiance of positivity. Picture a world where success is redefined not merely as the accumulation of wealth, but as a journey of self-discovery and personal evolution. Envision a reality where one's true worth is measured not by possessions amassed, but by the impact made on the lives of others. Let's delve deeper into the profound significance of the incremental changes that unfold within us. Consider our journey as a series of brushstrokes on the canvas of our lives, each stroke contributing to the masterpiece of self-discovery. Every step taken toward our goals is akin to planting a seed of potential, nurturing it with determination, and watching it blossom into the vibrant flora of self-betterment. Let's view goal setting not as a destination, but as a continuous evolution, a dynamic dance with the rhythms of personal growth. As we navigate life's challenges, each obstacle overcome becomes a testament to our resilience and unwavering determination. It's in these moments of triumph over adversity that the true essence of our character is revealed. Our journey extends far beyond reaching a metaphorical summit. It encapsulates the essence of becoming. Consider the symbolism of conquering mountains. It's not just about reaching their peaks, but about the transformation that occurs during the ascent. Approach challenges with anticipation, not trepidation. Let's embrace challenges, transform them into opportunities, and in doing so, transform ourselves. The power of self-discipline, the mastery over procrastination, the strength of positive habits. These are our tools and allies. What step can you take today, however small, that will move you closer to your goals? Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your dreams, your aspirations. Embrace the journey with all its twists and turns. Each step, each challenge, each triumph is shaping you into the person you are meant to be. Celebrate your victories, learn from your setbacks, and keep your eyes fixed on your goals. The path to success is not a straight line. It's a winding road filled with learning opportunities. Embrace these opportunities, for they are the experiences that will lead you to greatness. Hold on to the sense of purpose and passion that brought you here today. Believe in yourself and your ability to make a difference in your life and the lives of those around you. This is not the end, but a beautiful beginning. The beginning of a life lived with intention, purpose, and relentless pursuit of excellence. Let these lessons be the wind in your sails, propelling you towards your dreams. Your incredible journey awaits, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. Here's to your success, to your growth, and to the amazing life you're going to build. Let's make it a journey to remember. Do something different in the next 90 days than you did in the last 90 days. Instead of just picking up the books to read, do something different, like adopting new health disciplines or improving your relationships with your family. Whatever it is, no matter how small, starting to do different things with the same circumstances. We cannot change the circumstances, but we can change ourselves. We can change what we do. Then, he gave me another secret to success when he said, "What you have at the moment, Mr. Owen, you've attracted by the person you've become." Two little simple principles here. Once you understand these, it starts to explain so much. Sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace. Taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else is a transition that sometimes is challenging. Mission, and this one was a little tough for me. Chell said, "Here's the secret, Mr. Owen. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job." Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. If you would have known me at age 25, you would have said, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. If you'd have known me, you'd have said that. I don't mind coming a little bit early, staying a little bit late. I don't mind that. You'd just say, well, Jim Rohn is a hard worker. You'd say, well, how come he's got pennies in his pocket and nothing in the bank, and behind on his promises? Well, I was a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. I'm telling you, if you'll learn that simple little principle and start the process today, latest tomorrow, I'll give you tonight to think it over, and start this whole process of personal development, work on yourself, make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income. In economics, it's the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity, if you start working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work hard on the skills, work hard on yourself, and develop the graces, all of the stuff necessary to become more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, your whole life can explode into change. Promotions? No problem. Becoming more valuable to the company? No problem. Money? No problem. Economics? No problem. Future? No problem. If you just go to work on the right thing, not get things out there to change. Don't try to change the sea, don't change the soil, don't change the sunshine, don't change the rain. You don't change the mix of seasons. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you, and start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy, work on your attitude, work on your personality, work on your language, work on the gift of communication, work on all of your abilities. And if you start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you. It's Mr. Schoaf. Over a 5-year period before he died at age 49, who taught me some extraordinarily simple things. He only went to ninth grade in school, never finished high school, never went to college, never went to university, but he put his ideas and his experiences in very simple language, which I think for me, a kid from the farms of Idaho, that simplicity was so important because if it would have been technical, I'd have missed it. If it would have been mystical, I would have backed away. But it was just basic, blunt, maybe familiar stuff that I hadn't thought of before. And he did start to remind me. Being those ideas changed my life. Mr. Schoaf was the one when I said, this is all they pay. He said, "You've been working 6 years, Mr. Owen. How come you're not doing better?" And I said, "This is all the company pays." He says, "Well, that's not true." I said, "No, this is my paycheck. This is all the company pays." He said, "No, this is all the company pays you." I thought, that's a new way to look at it, right? He said, "Doesn't the company pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times this amount to other people?" And I said, "Well, yes." He said, "Well, then this is not all the company pays. It's all they pay you. And if you qualified, wouldn't your income grow 2, 3, 4, 5 times?" I said, "I suppose so." He said, "We don't have to work on the company. We have to work on you." See, that was the beginning of what he called the phrase personal development. When I told him things cost too much, he said, "No, you can't afford them." I thought, well, that's a new concept. I hadn't thought about that. We put some of the valuable things on the high shelf so you can't get to them until you qualify. If you want things on the higher shelf, you've got to stand on the books you read. Every book you read, you get to stand a little higher so you can get the things on the higher shelf. See, I learned those concepts. It was so incredible. And here was the most important one. Success is something you attract by the person you become. See, that phrase changed my life. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. It's like chasing a butterfly. You can't quite catch it. Success is something you develop, something you become. You attract success. So, the whole key to unlock all the treasures, whether it's economic treasures or spiritual treasures, financial, social, personal, in every way you can possibly think of, is by your own personal development. Then he added one more, which is so important, and it's probably worth the price of the seminar. Here it is. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. A major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here? The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here? Not what am I getting, what am I becoming? So, it's very important what you become because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. What you become attracts. So, this whole subject of personal development was so vitally important to me. It changed my life. I was a millionaire by age 31. And that was just the economic part of it. It took me 6 years from age 25 to age 31. It was unbelievable. Remember, be a student, not a follower. And if here's what you must always do, design your own personal life. I'm very happy for people to take notes at my seminar, but I'm also just as happy if somebody says, "Hey, this is not for me," tear up all these notes and throw them away. That's just as valid for me, right? Remember being no one's disciple, chart your own course, make what you do the product of your own conclusion. What I'm saying here is be your own person. You don't have to be a model of someone else. You don't have to do it like anybody else. Do it like yourself. Buy what you want to buy, listen to what you want to listen to, make changes if you want to make changes, and don't make changes if you don't want to make changes. It's your life. I'm telling you, and don't let anybody persuade you any different. Success is not a stereotype. Success is not a Ferrari. Success is not an automobile. It's not a house. It's not a place. It's not money in the bank. It's not $1 million. That's not success. Success is the continual unfolding of the design of your own life and pulling it off. That's what success is. Successful in doing whatever you want to do that makes sense to you, for you, your family, your responsibilities, or take on responsibilities, or refuse responsibilities. That's strictly all up to you. If we've been given the power of choice, every life form except human beings operates by instinct in the genetic code. Now why not human beings? Here it is. We've been given the dignity of choice. We're not like robots. We're not stuck like a tree, using up all the nourishment, nothing left. Now you die because you can't change location. Not true. Humans can go north, south, east, west. Humans can change, do anything they want to do. We've been given the dignity. But here's what's interesting about all life forms except humans. Every life form except humans strives to the max of its potential. Now, a little atrium grows as tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, that is impossible. A tree grows as high as it can, drives down every root it can, produces every leaf it can, extends itself as far as it possibly can. Every life form extends to the max except human beings. Now why not human beings? Because we're not robots. We've been given the dignity of choice. And here's a couple of alternatives on the dignity of choice. To be part of or all. You have the potential to be, and you've got the choice. Do a little to make yourself comfortable and forget the rest, or do it all. And there's nobody here to dictate you've got to do it all. That's nonsense. You've got to be rich because we live in a rich country. That's nonsense. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to do it all. You can do a little, do some, do nothing. Abraham Lincoln said, "Since I would be no one's slave, I will be no one's master." Excellent philosophy. If a guy says, "Hey, I'm soon cashing it in. I'm heading for the mountains. I'm gonna live in a little cabin, live off the land, and feed the squirrels." If he does that, guess what? He's a smashing success. Why? He's doing what he designed to do and went and did it and pulled it off. Yeah, you can't say, "No, that's not successful." That is the epitome of success. Giving a design to your life and going and pulling it off. Making progress in that direction that satisfies you. If it doesn't satisfy you, make alternatives and you change. And if you get some better ideas, sure, you may follow someone's suggestion and ideas, but not orders. Design your own life like you wanted that will fit. Now, if you take on some responsibilities, now you've got to consider those. Yes, you can ignore your responsibilities, but you won't feel good about that. Guess what the old prophet said? Some things that taste good now in the mouth turn bitter later in the belly. So you don't want to sacrifice. We all must suffer one of two pains, regardless of your choice of lifestyle and what you want to do. We must all suffer one of two pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And what we suggest to everybody is to consider the disciplines. Because disciplines weigh ounces, regrets weigh tons. You don't want to substitute a discipline for a regret. In our opinion, that would be a poor choice. Now you can do it, but some things are poor trade-offs. The old prophet said, "What if you gain the whole world, but it costs you your soul? Would that be worth it?" And with a bit of intelligence we say, no, that doesn't seem worth it, even if you got the whole world. If you traded your soul, that experience would be so bitter and so awful and so devastating. It wouldn't be worth it. What if you got some gain by greed instead of legitimate ambition? I'm telling you, it might taste good up front, but it's going to turn bitter in the belly. And a bit of that advice saves some people from devastation. Say, "Well, you're right. I better think twice about that." We must confront all laws, spiritual laws, agricultural laws, basic laws, fundamental laws. We must confront all of those. But you still now can design your own life a little, a lot going north-south. Your financial journey begins with what you do with the first dollar. It's where it all begins. Now sure, you can make mistakes and eventually correct them to get on a better path, but it all starts with what you do with your resources. Jot this phrase down. It's one of the best for the weekend. Here are the two challenges of life. Number 1, the development of our full potential, and challenge number 2, the wise use of all our resources. That sums up life in general. The development of all our potential, and the wise use of all our resources. Now let's talk about the wise resource called money. Let me share with you a little plan. When I met Shaf and he asked me about my financial condition, he said, "How much money have you saved and invested in the last 6 years?" And I said, "0. He said, "Not a good number." Here's what I told him. If I had more money, I'd have a better plan. Jot this down, because here's what he said. If you had a better plan, you would have more money. Next key phrase. It's not the amount that counts, it's the plan that counts. So let's start with something as seemingly small as $1. What should you do with it? Here's what we teach teenagers, especially. You should never spend more than 70 cents of each dollar you earn, or each dollar that comes your way by gift or labor. Now you've got to have some plan for what to do with your dollar. I've developed this little plan simply for suggestion, and then you've got to do the rest to revise it and do whatever you want with it. Here's what I teach. Never spend more than 70 cents. This is the best one I could figure out. Now we've got another 10 cents, and another 10 cents, and another 10 cents, which is the 30, plus the 70, which is the full dollar. So we spend nothing more than 70 cents. Now what do we do with the other 30? Here's some of the most important information. 10 cents is for charity or for church or whatever worthy projects you think you might engage in. Here's one of the best things to teach kids. Generosity. Because first, we're going to teach abundance. To provide more than you could use for yourself. Produce more than you need. That you have more to share. Now, if you're going to give to some charity or church, you must let them take you on the tour and show you where it goes. If you're going to tithe, because that gives you great joy to give 10%, you must let them show you where it's going. Now the next 10 cents is called the use of capital. I have the unique privilege now to teach capitalism. Let me give you my definition of capital and capitalism in a couple of sentences. Capital is any value you set aside to be invested in an enterprise that brings value to the marketplace, hoping to make a profit. That's what capital and capitalism are. It's so simple that to mess it up with some weird kind of philosophy is a disgrace. Now who can understand this? First of all, the farmers understand it. Here's what seed corn is. It's capital. Seed corn means the seed that you set aside to be planted in the ground, taken care of in the summer, hoping to have a profit and a harvest in the fall. So the farmer sets aside his seed corn. Question. Would he let his family eat it? No. This seed is not to be eaten. It's to be invested in the ground. To take a risk, cared for in the summer, harvested, and multiplied in the fall. The same is true of some of your money. If you set aside, and I suggest part of your capital should be set aside for an enterprise to show a profit, we can teach kids the early fundamentals of capitalism. If a child buys a bottle of soap for $2 and sells it for $3, maybe he goes next door and says, "Miss Brown, I've got this soap Mama uses. It's really terrific. I need to make a little extra money. If you buy the soap, I could make a little extra money. It's only $3, and I'm just here next door. I take care of you when you run out." Pretty simple. Miss Brown says, "Well, to be honest with you, I've got plenty of soap." Kid says, "You better let me come in and check." Kids don't need sales courses. Miss Brown says, "Okay, you got me. Here's my $3, I'll buy a bottle of soap." Now we must teach the child what to do with this $3. So jot this down. You must now set aside the $2 that you first invested to buy another bottle of soap. He says, "Well, that's true. You can't spend the whole $3, you'd be out of business." Kids can understand this stuff. Some adults don't know that. So you can't spend the whole $3, you've got to set aside $2 so you can buy another bottle of soap to sell it for $3 and make a profit of $1. Once the kid has $1 profit, now what should he do with the $1? Here's the formula that I've come up with for what to do with that $1. Don't spend more than 70 cents. 10 cents for church or charity. 10 cents to invest back into your business so that someday you can buy more than one bottle and get it a little cheaper. So when you sell it, you make a little more money. Now, guess what we call this little kid that's now engaged in this enterprise and is making a profit? We call him a capitalist. And the communists used to say, "Those no good capitalists." This little kid selling a bottle of soap, he's a capitalist. They didn't understand. And with their diabolical philosophy that capital belongs to the state, they wrecked every nation they touched. So 10 cents to show a profit? Here's the other 10 cents that you invest, and let someone else use it. This is called active capital, where you actually engage in the enterprise that makes a profit. Another 10 cents is for passive capital, where you let someone use this 10 cents out of every $1, you put it in the bank that pays interest. They use it, and they pay you for the use of this money. That's called passive capital. So we've got active capital and passive capital. Maybe you invest this in a stock eventually, if you have enough money, and the stock pays you dividends, and also there may be an increase in the value of the stock. This is the little formula I've come up with. 70, 10, 10, and 10. It's very simple, and kids can figure it out. Now, when you first start, if you're an adult now, you may be in such bad shape financially that you couldn't do the 70, 10, 10, and 10. If you're in real bad shape, you may have to do the 97, 1, 1, and 1, because it may take this to pay your bills if you haven't had a good plan up until now. But jot this down. It's not the amount that counts, it's the plan that counts. So let's say you were in such poor financial shape. You had to start 97, 1 and 1 for charity, 1% for active capital, another 1% for passive. Now here's the key to get these numbers starting up and get this number starting down. If you will actually do this, you can't believe how exciting it is to watch the numbers change. Remember what Schaff said. If you will change, everything will change for you. If you start to change, I'm telling you, these numbers will start to change, and the first thing you know, these numbers keep going up, 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 until finally you can get to the 70, 10, 10, and 10. Now when you make a lot of money, these numbers all have to change again. You know, if you're making fortunes, you can't spend 70%. That would be obscene. I probably spend less than 10% of my income. So this number, this is where I had to start. 97, 1, 1, and 1, finally getting to 70, 10, 10, and 10. But now, as time has passed for me, and my fortunes have increased, this 70 has gone way down to 10. And now you can imagine, if the 70 has gone clear down to 10, you can imagine now what these numbers will be. These numbers now are off the scale. Here's what it is, a good plan to consider. So make this note, it's your life, it's your future, it's your economics. This is just a suggested plan. You can tear this one up and develop one of your own. I'm just here to stir the pot, to stir your mind, to get you to think. Now here are 3 more keys on financial independence. Here's number 1. Keep strict accounts. Part of it is just for habit, and the other part is for self-esteem and future benefit. To keep strict accounts, it's just a good habit to have. Here's the next one. Pay your taxes. I finally became a happy taxpayer. Here's what paying taxes does. It feeds the goose that lays the golden eggs called American opportunity. You say, well, the goose eats too much. Probably true. But make the note. Better a fat goose than no goose. Here's the next key. Everybody should pay. My personal philosophy is everybody should pay federal taxes, as well as state or whatever else. It's not wise for the government to let 1/3 of American citizens off the federal tax rolls. Why? Because that robs them of the dignity. They have to pay state taxes, they have to pay sales tax. I've been trying to write this book for so long called Of Course Kids Should Pay Taxes. When a kid in California walks into a convenience store and buys chocolate which costs $1, the proprietor asks the kid for 8 more pennies. Kid says, what's these 8 pennies? Says, that's the taxes. The kid says, I'm only 8 years old. And the proprietor says, congratulations, you're my youngest taxpayer, give me the money. Should kids pay taxes? Yes. If you want to ride your bicycle on the sidewalk instead of in the mud, you've got to cough up the 8 pennies. What if you're poor? Do you pay the 8 cents? Yes. What if you're rich? Yes, meaning everybody. Right, we couldn't go after him and couldn't kill him because that wasn't the policy. But we've now got him in a very small corner where tyranny needs to be, because when it is let loose, it could do like communism and Nazism, cover 1/3 of the world before we get it. So you jot that down. Now I've got to pay for my aircraft carrier. I've got to pay some young volunteer that risks his life on night landings on an aircraft carrier. You've got to pay if you want that kind of security in the world. Of course, we may disagree sometimes with government policy and all the rest, but I'm telling you, everybody needs to pay. Now here's one of the best stories ever written according to the record. Jesus and his disciples one day were at the synagogue, and on this occasion, they had an interesting project. That was to stand outside the synagogue as people started coming in, putting money in the treasury of the synagogue. And as Jesus and his disciples stood outside watching the people come by, putting their money in the treasury, some came with large amounts, some came by with modest amounts, some came by with small amounts. Then along comes a little lady, and she puts 2 pennies in the treasury. And Jesus said to his disciples, look at that. They said, 2 pennies? What's 2 pennies? He said, no, you don't understand. She gave more than everybody else. They said, 2 pennies? Pennies? It's more than everybody else. He said, yes, because I'm positive her 2 pennies represented most of what she had. So since she gave most of what she had, she gave the most. Now here's what did not occur in the story. Here's what did not occur. When the little lady put 2 pennies in the treasury and walked away, here's what didn't happen. Jesus didn't run after this little lady and said, hold it, little lady. My disciples and I have decided that you're so pitiful and you're so poor, we have decided to take the 2 pennies out of the treasury and give them back to you. I'm telling you, that did not occur. If it would have occurred, she would have been insulted. Hey, it was only 2 pennies, but it was most of what I had. Would you rob me of the joy of giving my 2 pennies? So that scene did not occur. So jot this down. Jesus left her 2 pennies in the treasury, even though she was poor. What does that mean? Everybody needs to pay, even if it's only 2 pennies. Wow, great story.